Hey guys, how's it going? So this feels a little bit weird because we are just about a week away from Thanksgiving and we are still out here planting. It's been an incredibly mild fall. It is feeling a little chilly today, but here's the deal. So planting late in the season can be risky. You know, planting them earlier on, at least 6 weeks before your first hard frost, allows the plant a chance to root in and get used to its new home before hard frost sets in. But I feel like these plants, I have them here, and I feel like they will do better in the ground, insulated from all sides, rather than being kept in their nursery containers. Now we do group all of ours back behind the greenhouse, which I showed you in a recent video, and we try to take as good a care of them as we can throughout the winter so that they make it through to the next season. They typically do, but they just are better off in the ground. So we've got several things we're putting in the ground today, 4 different varieties, 3 of which are brand new to our garden and 1 of which is a fairly new plant, but we have some. They're the Quickfire Fab Hydrangeas. We have 6 in that corner that have just performed beautifully for us. We planted them last summer, and so they had half of last summer and then the full season this year, and they're doing great, all exposed, full sun, wind, all of that. So we're going to toss a few more out in the south garden on the other corner there. But we're going to start right here with a Castle Keep holly. So hollies are a little bit interesting for us. Beautiful. Look at the glossy green foliage, really, really beautiful, but they do prefer a more acidic soil. So we're going to have to work on that a little bit to probably keep this one happy. Castle Keep is a female variety, so it will bloom and set fruit only if you have another male variety nearby. You have to have a male within, I think it's about 50 feet. Something like Castle Wall is a male variety, so I don't have one of those. I'm gonna have to try to get my hands on one, but I don't even mind if it doesn't have berries. I just love the way the leaves look. I like to use these in arranging, especially around this time of year for the holidays. So this one will grow about 3 to 5 feet tall, so potentially this tall, and 3 to 4 feet wide. And I'm thinking that this might be the best space for it because it'll get a little bit of protection in the afternoon from the afternoon sun from our black lace elderberry, which these get enormous. So it'll provide some probably dappled light for this holly right here. So I've got all my supplies in the gator. We're gonna use the auger to dig the hole. We're also going to amend the heck out of the area because especially when you have a plant that wants acid soil, we're going to use land and sea compost, soil acidifier, and Biotone starter fertilizer. We've used a lot of land and sea compost over the last few years, and I think our plants have done so well because it's more of an acid-based compost, and because we're so high pH, our plants they love being planted with this. And then this one right here, we have to give our blueberries this every 60 days. We have our blueberries in containers, and so I'm going to put anything that's acid loving on the same schedule, and we'll come out here and apply some around the base of the plant because even our water is high pH. So when you amend the soil with soil acidifier, you still have to keep on hitting it. It's kind of like with gypsum and all of that because, you know, water's kind of pushing those things away, especially if it's high pH water. You want to keep introducing that acidity back in. And then our Biotone starter fertilizer is specifically meant for root development, which plants, even though they're dormant on top, not doing anything, their roots are still working underneath the soil surface. So although they won't use a lot of it during the winter months, it'll still be there in the spring. When the plant starts to wake up, it'll start utilizing more of it and it'll take off. It's not meant to like push a bunch of new leaves and that sort of thing. Okay, 9-inch auger. Make quick work of it. Toss a little starter fertilizer in there. Oh, this isn't even open. Ooh, do I have any cutters? Look at this. I have a tennis ball, a bracket, a screwdriver, and a spoon with some old peanut butter on it. Gross. This'll do. Yeah, good enough, right? Hi-ya! Perfect. Let's just give it a good dose. Looks good. Okay, now a little bit of land and sea compost. And I don't know, if you have high pH like we do, you might be willing to try, you know, fussing with the soil to make something that's acid loving work. But there are some things for me, like rhododendrons and azaleas, that just don't work. I don't even try with those. So it's kind of one of those things. I don't want a lot of those types of plants in my garden, but I'm willing to try on some because I just really, like, I find myself, if I could have some holly to cut on in the wintertime, I would absolutely love that. So I find myself feeling it's worth it for some things. Isn't that pretty? You want to be careful though with your bare hands, because see those little points on the leaves, those are a little bit sharp, or a little bit pokey. I won't cut your gloves, I don't think. So you could touch it with your gloves, but bare hands, it might be a little bit ouchy. Okay. Okay, let's pack this up and head to the next plants. The next ones, you guys, are just right across the way there, some Russian sage. This right here is a variety of Russian sage called Sage Advice. It's a brand new variety this year. It grows 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide, which is a little bit bigger than the other variety that I've planted a lot of around here, which is the Denim and Lace. I absolutely love that plant because it stays a tiny bit more compact, not a whole lot smaller than this one right here, but it just does so well for us here because they're really adaptable to lots of different soil types and pH, as long as it's a dry, hot, sunny spot. In fact, it doesn't want to be fertilized, nothing extra. It's like truly one of those plants you can plant it and almost forget it. So right here, I'm actually planting them at the base of this Corinthian linden tree, which they grow fairly slow. This whole garden is going to be really interesting because we are planting a lot of trees, and right now we're planting like it's a full sun garden, because that is what it is, and that's how most brand new spaces are. And then over time, as trees grow and things, then you get more and more shade and you have to shift things around, which I expect to need to do with these at some point. But the Corinthians only grow 7.5 feet from center, 15 feet wide. So it's likely that even if this, or when this tree is at its mature size, these will still get light from, you know, like half the day at least, but we'll just have to kind of play that whole thing by ear. So like I said, these don't want anything extra, no special treatment, so we're just going to dig some holes and pop them in the ground. That's it. The only other thing I can think of about this plant is that it is recommended to cut them back in really early spring. We typically do ours in fall, sometimes early spring, and have good luck either way. We haven't cut ours back that are in the other gardens yet, and we may not to until spring, but we may not. Something just came out of my mouth wrong. I don't know what it was. Yeah. Anyway, we may not cut ours back until spring. I have no idea where I was at in that sentence. Anyway, I'm gonna dig some holes now. I'm best at that. Planted some bulbs right in here, some snowflakes. It's pretty soft out here right now. You can see based on the soil color, I mean, you guys know it's usually pretty white, but we've had some moisture over this past week, which has been so nice. Makes it a lot easier to dig. Kind of wanted this to be a kind of lazy drift, so that we can come in with some other things around it. I don't want anything to ever look too like clumped together or too like lined up out here. More natural. Hey, this one has a green leaf on it. These are kind of camouflage in this area. You can't really see much of anything, but that'll make it all the more special this next spring when they start to grow. They also start to bloom about midsummer when everything else is kind of like, whew, like really struggling and not blooming as great during the really hot part. These start to look amazing, and then they look great through the rest of the whole season. They're an amazing plant that way. Okay, we're gonna head over to the other corner and plant our hydrangeas, and then we do have a juniper over there as well. So right here we have the Quickfire Fab hydrangeas. They grow 6 to 8 feet tall, 5 to 6 feet wide. They're planted near a Hoops blue spruce, some totem pole panicums, and a heptacodium. So all of these things want to get kind of big, and it's kind of perfect to put these hydrangeas here because they will hold their own out here, I think, compared to everything else. Plus, kind of as we go back, move back into this bed, we'll kind of graduate up to taller things, and then I wanted to kind of gradually get smaller things toward our driveway right there. They're a zone 3 through 8. They bloom on new wood, which makes them incredibly easy to take care of. If you live in a colder climate and you have, you know, heavy snow loads that break branches or deer come through and graze, it doesn't matter for these. You'll still get blooms the following year because when they push new growth in the spring, that's the growth that they're going to bloom on, which makes them incredibly nice. Now, like I said, we have 6 of these in the far corner. We showed you when we planted them, but I don't think we got any footage or pictures. Maybe I'll look through my camera and I'll see if I got a picture even on my phone, but I don't think I did. But every time we drove by, we just talked about how gorgeous they were, and they're in the full sun. They get all of our wind. So it just makes me feel really confident planting these out here where, you know, they're just so darn exposed. So anyway, I'm gonna get these planted. We're just gonna be using the Land and Sea and the Biotone on these because they're actually fairly adaptable to pH. They do fairly well for us, even though our pH is so high. A little rockier here. Okay, let's do all the holes first. Oh, and then look at the fall color. So beautiful, beautiful fall color. Not only do you get the blooms, you get the fall color, and if you choose to leave the blooms on through the course of the winter, you'll have winter interest as well. Okay, now I'm going to pour amendments in all the holes, and then we'll go through and plant them, kind of assembly line style. Oh, hey Benjamin, there's a worm. You want it? Yes, you can have it. Here, let me get the dirt off of it. There you go, buddy. You gonna go find it a new home out there somewhere? Root system isn't very like bound or anything, so I don't really feel like I need to do much roughing up of that. All right, all done. Oh, did you get it a new home? Be gentle with it, baby. Gosh, that's pretty. Okay, hydrangeas are done, and the juniper is just right over here. So this right here is a Moss Mountain juniper, and I think it has such a neat growth habit. 2 to 4 feet tall, 3 to 5 feet wide, so more of like a rectangular globish shape. I mean, it's not going to have like a cone shape like a lot of evergreens do, but I love the color. This gray green is so pretty. It's just so soft and muted and beautiful. And I like branches that come out kind of like this, like they're not weepy at all. And it's not a strict ground cover either, which I don't really have use for out here, a really like low ground cover, not yet anyway. So this will be a really beautiful structure back here. It actually complements the rust color of our bald cypress pretty well. I like it surprisingly more than I thought I was gonna like it. I don't think that Aaron and I realized it was going to be russet color in the fall until we got them home. We just love the way they look so much in season, that soft kind of bright green. Anyway, I was really worried that it was going to look like an evergreen needle cast color. You know, when pines start to brown up and cast their needles, that's what I thought it was going to look like. Mailman's here. Okay, so this one is a zone 4 through 9, and it is deer resistant, and it pretty much needs nothing. It wants low water. We will water it until it's established, and then I'll probably pull drip or reduce greatly the amount of drip we have around it. that's pretty much it. I will probably also be cutting on this for holiday decorations once it's big enough, because I do like the unique color of it. This is the hardest hole so far to dig. Okay, got a handful of Biotone and the rest of the bag of land and sea. The reason I put the compost toward the side of the hole rather than in it is I don't want to plant the root ball directly in compost. I mix it into the native soil as I'm backfilling around the root ball. Just in case you wanted to know, I don't think I explained that. Okay, Erin, I might need some help with this one. I can't really, oh, there we go. Nope, got it. Rough up the root ball just a little bit. Okay. Can't really see much of what I'm doing right here. It's all underneath the canopy of the foliage. It smells good though. Hey Russell dude, I like it. It is kind of bare. We kind of shifted our focus to the other corner this fall and really planted a lot over there. I think it's because we are planning on putting some pallet walkways throughout this area. Like it'll come kind of in that opening by the grass where we kind of left a space. It'll come and kind of twirl its way through here. We're just not sure exactly where. So we didn't want to plant too heavily before we had that in place, and we just didn't get to it this fall. I mean, it's possible we still might do it if it stays really mild, but it's probably going to be a spring project. So that's it for planting today. It just feels so good to be out here still getting some things in the ground. I did want to stress though, for those of you who live in possibly colder climates than we live in, we're a zone 6, that it is a greater risk for you putting stuff in the ground this time of year, as well as for those of you who experience like huge fluctuations in temperature. I feel like though, like I said before, that my plants are better off being insulated all the way around, tucked into the ground somewhere, than they are trying to winter them over in containers. I think the main thing is making sure you keep them moist. So today I will water everything in really well, and then if we have long dry spells this winter that we've got wind and things like that where we're not getting rain or snow, I will come out here with watering can, and anything that's, you know, freshly planted or planted in the last probably few weeks, I will splash a little water on the root ball just to make sure it's not drying inside of its hole. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that I went over that one more time. And then for those of you who live in more mild climates, of course it's less risk for you, because it just doesn't get quite as cold. You just never really know what the winter's going to bring. So yeah, there's always a little risk involved. I do want to pop back to the back of the cut flower garden though, because our shed is looking more like a shed. There's a roof on it and walls. I just wanted to give you an update. It's come a long way just in like the last week. The walls have been completed on the outside. The roof was put on. Now we still have a gable going in the front. So right now it just looks like a straight roof coming down, but there will be more interest, architectural interest there in the front. But you can see where all the windows are, where the door is, how high the ceiling is. So it is vaulted in here. It's going to sound a little echoey coming in here. But the walls are 8 feet, and then the ceiling at the top is 11 feet. And it feels good in here. We did decide to go ahead and, because we're gonna have electrical run in here, plugins all over, and then of course we're gonna drop the chandelier in here. We're gonna go ahead and insulate and finish the inside. While we're at it, we just decided to go ahead and do that, because that way if we wanted to put a floor heater in here and just to take the edge off the cold and do a project out here in the winter, we will have the capability of doing that, instead of kind of having to abandon the shed for a few months because it would be way too cold out here. But I think it's going to be really airy in here and really bright, but it'll be, I think, a good enough space. I'm going to be putting curtains up that are not like really sheer, like halfway, you know, that can block some light, so that, you know, this is the morning light right here. This is the east side, and then the other, of course, is the west side. So one side will be getting morning light for a while until the orchard trees get big enough. And then the other side will be getting afternoon light, and then the front is the north side there. So that's pretty much shaded all the time, but I think it's going to be really nice for filming projects, things like that, because we've got a nice backdrop. I do have furniture to put back here, some furniture. Now that I'm seeing the length of it though, I'm like, dang, I have some space back here. It's gonna be nice. Like we'll have space to hang tools and things like that, which that's the other purpose of this shed, is to have a few areas where we can just line up some buckets, tools, the stuff we use the most often out here. Anyway, I'm just loving it. So excited about it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a great day, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.